Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Last Epoch dev stream. I'm your host, Mike. It's great to have you here. Welcome one, welcome all. Let's play some Last Epoch. What do you guys say? It sounds like fun to me. Just gonna turn our sound back down to where it was, roughly. Turn the volume up a little bit for the waiting at the front, so you can enjoy a little music. Hey, Llama. I hope Mike appears on a dev stream in a Swarmblade outfit one day. That was on the 29th. That's what that was. That was my Swarmblade outfit. Does it not count? I've got the wings still. How's the character screen rework going? Great. Was working on it this morning. Was working on it yesterday. Probably touch on it again a little bit Monday morning as well. Before the stream, I was working on getting the what are they called? The transforms, so you can rearrange your ability bar. So like when you're in a transform, you click this button and it shows like your transform abilities, and so you can rearrange your transform bar, and it saves and loads. I've got it so you can reorganize them, and I've got it so it can load, but I haven't set up saving yet. Weird order, I know, but you know, it's good. Swarmblade has sharp blades and has hands, not a bee wand. Well, you know, I feel like the wand can... I got nothing. Yeah, you're right. It was a bad outfit. But that's okay. I had fun with it. Hey, what news today? I don't really have anything major for you today. I'm just kind of hanging out. See who's got any questions, who wants to say something cool, ask any insights into how the sausage is made, so to speak. I'm just going to play some video games. Reddit told me you guys are nerfing crit. Why? Well, I was the one that responded in that thread. And it's not what I said. I think there was a bit of a miscommunication. I know someone responded with some confusion. So what it was the thread was someone asking how crit strike stats work. They were getting stats that said like 50% increased critical strike chance, and their crit was only going up by 1%, 2%, something like that. And this is because it's a percentage increase of a percentage stat, which is why it's confusing. So if you have 5% crit and your crit goes up 100%, your crit goes to 10%, instead of going all the way to 105%, because we're increasing the critical strike chance. We're not adding to it. So this is a pretty frequent problem in the clarity of like how we're presenting these stats to players. And so we're considering, it's not fully done yet, but I think it's likely going to happen, that will remove most sources of increased critical strike chance and replace them with, I love this weapon. Yeah, this is such a cool weapon. I haven't built anything around it yet, but it's such a cool weapon. Anyways, And replacing them with just a relatively similar amount of flat crit chance. So you end up with crit builds that invest the same amount in crit, still having pretty similar amounts of crit across the board. It changes a couple things very lightly. It's really not that big of an impact. But yes, there are some minor changes. Some are buffs, some are nerfs, probably. Point is, though, that if they're replaced with just like plus 5% crit instead of plus 100% crit, it makes it a lot easier to understand for new players. And the conversation I got into was someone was talking about how it makes it less interesting of a stat. And it does reduce the complexity a bit, which I can see can reduce the interest for some people as well. But it doesn't really, and there's a huge Reddit thread, you can go read the whole thing if you want. The short version is, I don't think it actually increases the depth at all. It just increases the complexity. And we have sort of a finite amount of complexity that we can fit in the game before it's too complex, and we're not really getting anything out of it. Except just player confusion. And once players get confused, they can get turned off, they turn off the game, and that's just bad. So we want the game to be accessible enough that people can understand it, but deep enough that people can explore it. So we have this sort of like, and this isn't like a real thing that we quantify, but we have this theoretical complexity budget. So there's a maximum amount of complexity we can put into the game before it's too confusing. And the stat increased critical strike chance adds complexity, but not depth. Well, it adds a tiny bit of depth, but not much really. So things that have very low, things that introduce complexity, but have a poor complexity to depth ratio, are not ideal to have in the game. We try and remove them when we can. Just to make the game so that there's room for us to add more mechanics that add depth and complexity, because almost always when you add depth, you add a little bit of complexity too. But you can add complexity without adding depth. Yeah! And it's a bit of an oversimplification of all the changes and everything. And I'm sure there'll be a dev blog outlining them in details, but that's roughly what here's a great example. 53% increased spell critical strike chance. Like that's for someone who's like a new player to the game, that's a very difficult stat to parse what it's actually doing. Let's see what everyone was talking while I was rambling there. On the crit note, can you try and explain what some of us read on Twitter better? I do not know what you read on Twitter at all. Is it flat crit being replacing increased crit? No, the other way around. Oh yes, sorry, yeah. Well, we're removing increased crit from a lot of places and replacing it with flat crit. Won't that bleep over melee builds since they have more access to flat crit on prefixes? Nope, we'll adjust them so it works. You're gonna have, like, the amount of crit you're getting is, we're gonna try and do this in such a way that it will affect your overall DPS in pretty well every build as little as possible. You think you'll be able to effectively gauge how much crit some crit builds can attain and properly compensate with the loss of multiplier. Also, what happens to the more crit modifier in some skills? Yeah, the more crit modifier, I still think we're going to have. Like, that's not going anywhere, because that's different enough that it still makes sense. We can things where we really need a multiplier, we're going to kind of take increased crit and kind of just shove some of them to more and shove most of them to added. Just wanted to stop in and say you guys are doing a great job. The gameplay is super fun so far, and I love the consistent communication. Thanks. Glad you're enjoying it. That's the most important part. Alright, what do we got here? Really like this complexity versus depth comparison, and also enjoying the difficulty versus nuance in LE so far. Good job. Thank you. Lizard IRL. Are the devs really concerned about this crit stuff? I think it's so simple and perfectly balanced as it is now. IMO. Yeah, so Lizard, you are a very advanced player compared to the average player, and compared to the brand new player. So like, I'm sure it's dead easy for you, especially because you've been with us for a while, and I'm sure, I'm assuming you've played other RPGs a whole bunch too. I don't know your background too well, but like, it's like people who came from PoE, which is a lot of people for sure. It's not that big of a deal because it's the same stat there too. But we see on the forums and on Reddit and on Discord, at least once a week, someone shows up with, "I'm confused about increased, added, and more." And usually it's based around crit. Like, almost every single time it's because of a crit stat that shows up. And when we see a lot of people confused by something like this, we like, the first thing we looked at was, is there a good reason to have it? Does it really bring much to the game? Not well, the first thing we tried to do was explain it better and just so people can learn. But there's no, like, we've worded and reworded that stat a few times to just like, and workshopped the wording of that stat quite a bit to try and get it just so, and it never quite sits proper for like people to read and understand on their first time reading it. But yeah, I agree that a large percentage of players will have no problem with understanding those stats. I don't think you'll miss it once it's gone. I know it's kind of scary, and I think we've shown that if there's something we do that doesn't work, we're fully prepared to fix it and like own mistakes. So if it is a mistake, we'll address that for sure. That's not like everything's 100% set forever and we're never gonna go back on it. No, we don't do that. And this will go through the whole CT process as well. You guys will be seeing that soon and having a chance to give feedback on it, and yeah. I guess that's the spoiler for today. Dropping that early. How satisfied is the team with dot ailments like frostbite and ignite compared to electrify, poison, and bleed? I think that poison has a really nice, unique mechanic that makes it interesting to use, and adds quite a bit of depth actually. I think that ignite and bleed have nice thematic ties to their respective elements, which is cool. But mechanically, they're kind of bleh. I know Electrify and Frostbite are newer ailments that have less general support just because they've been around the block less. But we are... I know there's some decent changes to both of those coming. Like, and sometimes it's as simple as just like, because Poison, Ignite, and Bleed have been around forever, there's more uniques that are based around them on different slots, and there's more skills that have access to them, so there's more synergies, and like there's just more stuff that uses it. As we go back and we look at other skill trees, like with the new transform abilities, a lot of them have access to Frostbite. Possibly all three of them actually have access to Frostbite, I think. And so like there's a whole bunch more synergies there, and like there's new uniques that come in each patch. And they'll, like, some of them have access to electrify things, and some of them have access to frostbite things, and I feel like we spoiled a unique already that has electrified chance or electrified damage or something like that. Can't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure there's an electrify related unique that we spoiled already. If not, there probably is one coming. Or I dreamt about it. You never know. That happens too. Are legendary items going to get legendary skins and not look like normal items? I mean, so this is the, like, yes, immediately, no. We want every item's 2D and 3D art to match. It takes a long time. We're not going to hold up 2D, we're not going to hold up item creation to wait for the 3D art creation. So what this means is, as always, we will get more And I want to be clear as well that a lot of the, basically all of the 3D item creation, well, 90% of the 3D item creation stuff pipeline has been being used on revamping all the base types in the game. And so we've got these, like this huge array of just like base items that all need to get fresh 2D, 3D models, everything. So we've been going through those. And we're pretty close to done re-going through every single base item in the game. Weapon, sorry, that is. And so, that team that's been working on all those, they're not going to just stop there. They're just going to keep going and working on other items that need them. And the next thing that needs them will start to be uniques. And just more of everything. So, like, more base types, more armors, more uniques. Like, all these things, it's just going to keep getting more and more and more. And we'll be creating those 3D models for them, and we're ramping up that pipeline as well to make it a little bit bigger. Quality is the most important thing with them. We'd rather have them come a little bit slower and be better than have them all come at once and need to be redone down the line. But yes, eventually, each legendary item. Oh, I want to say each and every single one of them. There might be an exception to this. The dramatic majority of them eventually will have gorgeous looking skins, so they look pretty. And match their 2D art as well. I know this question was... sorry, just go back to this. I know I keep skipping here, but there's way more legendary items coming in this patch than we can make models for in a single patch cycle. There's no way we can do them all at once. I know I've like alluded to how many there are before, and like I think people didn't quite believe me with how many there are. There's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, I know this question was already imposed, but after seeing new art for unique items you have announced on your forum, could you rethink option of making them larger and more detailed when you open your inventory, or at least, yeah, enlarge the image on them when you cross your mouse over them? Yeah, so the, here's the thing, you can't get your mouse over to the tooltip art. Like, you can't mouse over that. We already have Alt and Control locked down as hotkeys. Shift starts getting a little tricky when you get like Shift, Alt, and Control for hotkey stuff, and we want to avoid including a third one if possible. So having like a way to like blow up the item art when you like when you're mousing over it, something like that. There's some tricky things there. We do love our 2D art; it's amazing, and being able to see it in like all of its glory is really actually important to us, and we actually have this discussion a fair bit. I know it might not seem like it because we don't do anything about it, but we have been planning some way to view the gorgeous art in the game more closely. So we don't know exactly what it's going to look like yet, but if I had to guess, because this is a guess, this is not what it's going to be necessarily, it would likely be a separate panel, kind of like a bestiary, where it's just like a lookup thing you can do, like something like the game guide, where there's like a list of all the uniques. Maybe this is included in and I'm going off on a tangent because this is a big feature, and I have no idea if we'll go for this far. But what if there's a Grail tracker that includes a way to check out large size art? Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of stuff. Lots of stuff we want to do. The number of ideas we have of like, well, we got to do this. Oh, one day we'll do that. Like dozens. It's like 10 to 1 in the things we actually put in the game. Be a good suggestion. I'll miss increased crit. We'll see. You might not. Might not go. You'll have a chance to argue for it to stay. Since Reddit feedback has to be listened, stun rework when? I don't quite understand that. I don't know what you're talking about, first off. I feel like there's a thread I missed. So I don't really want to talk about it too much without knowing what you're referring to. I would say that it's unlikely to have a full-scale stun rework anytime super immediately. I know there's a lot of people that really don't like getting stunned. I really like it a lot, and I know that might be kind of weird, but it's this thing. It's an extra threat that can be utilized by specific enemies. It's another way to itemize your defenses. Yeah. I really like stun as a mechanic. I know one thing that gets brought up is like the argument of like, oh, I've been stun locked for X amount of time. And if you ever get stun locked for more than the duration of one stun, that's a bug, because you can't get stun locked. At least you shouldn't be able to get stun locked. Yeah, because you get stun immunity when you get stunned for a brief period of time. I don't know how long it is, but it's longer than the stun. Yeah, so if you have like either a mobility skill or a defensive skill you can use, you can usually like outplay the stuns, if that makes any sense. There's usually, and that's not saying that there's always a way, but usually there is a way to like break the cycle and yeah, like outplay it. Not always. But if you've got specifics on stun reworks, feel free to post them. I did see on our forums a thread about stun recently. And there was a lot of misinformation going around in there, and it got a little ugly. Came close to locking the thread at one point. But I didn't want to stifle the conversation that was happening. Falconer, when? Let's make Ballista great first time, please. Ballista's been good. Maybe it was like, yeah, I might be remembering a, like a build that never was released. I know there was a time when Ballista was broken overpowered. I do not have a release date on Falconer. I realized that was the question, sorry. But I think Ballista will be a very good tool for the Falconer. I am, I would put that in the quiver, so to speak. Oh, I see this. When will the appearance shop come out? If you're gonna ask me a question, please put an @Last Epoch game in there so I see it. This one got flagged because it's first time chat, so. But usually I won't see them otherwise. Cosmetic shops are like we still don't even have the UI fully set up for it yet, so. We don't know when it's coming, but not yet. What about using delete in combination with Control or Alt to make the art bigger? I mean, that's like way across the keyboard for me. I don't know about you, but I'd rather have it split off into a different location. Like, if you really want to take some time to admire art. Yeah, we don't need that. Hello, hello from Poland. Hello. I don't know if we have anyone on the team from Poland, actually. Usually when someone says, like, a country like, hello from here, I'm like, oh, we got someone from there. I think, oh, we have some artists. Yeah, we have, I think, an animator. And I think a 2D artist. Come to think of it. Interesting. Very interesting. Might be good. Might be good. Good day. Is there cool new teasers for some legendary uniques? No. I don't have any legendary teasers at all. Sorry. Entire community hates getting stunned. Big thread in the 4th week. Yeah, I saw the thread. I wouldn't say it's everyone. The entire community would be a little hyperbole there. The problem is not getting stunned, it's getting stunned by random small attacks. No phone, I'm not talking to you. Thanks for trying, though. I mean, that doesn't happen very often, though. Unless you're in, like... And like, okay, I guess getting stunned when you're in the, like... I feel like there's two conversations with this. There's the, I'm in Arena Wave 350, 500, 1,000, versus I'm going through normal monoliths. And those are, like, really dramatically different experiences and players, and it's really difficult to, like, balance both. And yeah, you can have, like, a sliding scale and all sorts of things, and have a cap on percentages and things like that. But I think it's just, it's another, like, it's super ultra endgame stuff. That's, like, that's a way that people, yeah, it's a way you die, but, like, that you can gear against it as well. I'm not saying that there's no way we'll change it at all. I'm saying I haven't heard or thought of, or talked about with anyone, a really good way to change it. I might have missed this. Is there an ETA when we'll know more about multiplayer? Nope, sorry. Silent whisper about Warlock rework. For now, it's just unplayable. Nice one. Yes, Warlock is completely unplayable right now. There's a nasty bug that makes it just not even show up in the character select. Just the worst. Oh, Control-Alt-Delete. I didn't even get that, Llama. Whoosh. It's a good one. I like that. It's well. That was well done. Someone mentioned on YouTube, I think it was RPG a while ago, that it would take like 3 or 4 months for you to update the engine of game, and that graphics and effects would be even more better. Is that still a thing? Are you planning on doing it? There might be a little miscommunication there. We update graphics all the time, regardless of updating the engine. There's certain features that are only available in newer engines, newer versions of the engine. That would let us, well, okay, it would let us change our render pipeline if we wanted to, but redoing every asset in the game is not feasible for us. And I know, like, so this conversation comes up every once in a while when I say that. The answer is always like, okay, well, there's an automated system that does it. It doesn't work very well. We've tried it. We've explored that route quite a few times. It is not something that's going to work for us. We'd have to go through every asset in the game individually anyways. It's really a huge thing. And we're always working to update the graphics of the game, make it look better, all these sorts of things. At some point we have to push for release. So I have no idea if we're going to update the engine at all anytime soon. Eventually we will, I'm sure, but it does take a lot of people a lot of time, and those are the same people that are working on multiplayer. So do you want slightly tiny bit better graphics, or do you want multiplayer? Like, I feel like most people are in that multiplayer camp. Yeah. Good work on this. I hope you'll keep that up. Hello from Latvia. There's one that I'm pretty sure we don't have anyone from. That's cool, though. Hello, Latvia. Yeah, we have a really international team, which is awesome. But everyone once in a while, there's someone's like got a country that I'm gonna renown from, and I just realized that I'm over the line on the quest progression, so I can go do the quest and beat the boss whenever we want. Could just die here. Just gotta kill the peoples. 2 beetles! Pew pew pew! That's a coin flip chance to happen. 2 beetles. And was a bug. A bug, because they make bugs. But we have fixed it. Stun just forces people into builds that are immune to stun. I mean, it's... if you've got good suggestions on what we could do to change it to keep it interesting, I would request they be in a forum thread, or you can post them on, who was that? Lizard? Yeah, you can post it on the CT page. Pretty sure you're in here. Shows how well I know who's actually on this list. Are you not one of the CTs, Lizard? I don't see you in there. I have tons will do. Cool. The only reason I was suggesting putting in the CT thing is if you didn't want discussion on it. But I would, regardless, I would have suggested that you'd put it in the forums to get discussion on it. Because I really like it when there's like broad community discussions. I don't ever look at the CT threads unless we're like in the middle of a CT build release, so like I forget who's in there all the time. Sorry. But yeah, if you're gonna do that, I'd recommend using I feel language. When X, I feel Y. It makes for really good feedback on topics like this. Remember to add Last Epoch game. Yes. Okay. Who did you? You replied to someone. Hocus Pocus, there were a question right above. Do you guys plan to release microtransactions with the multiplayer patch or before that? Is it possible with the company to maintain online servers without microtransactions? I have no idea what the money side of almost anything is. I'm so lucky to not have to worry about any of that. And much more experienced people take care of that than I do. I get to focus on things like making and playing video games, which is great. I would say I don't know which one will be first. One of them will be first. Oh, they could be simultaneous. Yeah, the worst answer to a question ever. They'll either be one of them will be first, or the other one will be first, or it'll be the same time. It'll be one of the possibilities that could happen. Useless answer. I know, sorry. Oh, I leveled up, didn't I? Come on, 1% move speed! Yes! Haha! OP now. Mike forgets who the CTs are. Well, I guess that's fairly clear that the devs just don't pay attention to the CTs. I mean, when we have a specific build out, and we, like for the CTs, and we need specific feedback on that build, yeah, we pay attention. But like, it's pretty, like, right now we're at about the longest time between the most recent CT build. So, like, it's been months since we've had a build out to you guys. So I kind of lose track. Like, I see the tags on the forums every once in a while, but I forget. I remember the people who post on the forums a lot more. Like there's just names of people that I recognize frequently. Did I? What's going on? Did I find a bug? Nope, there's just a dude in the center of the map that I'm ignoring. He's a slow boy. Little slow boy. Frodo Fraggins. I like that name. That's good. It's a good one. Oh, I missed a shout out, didn't I? Tolmat JP is resubbed for 2 months in a row. This one's for Trisoki. Nice. Trisoki is unbelievably skilled. Oh, that's 2 of those in one drop. I recognize that name for some reason. It was more a comment on the view that a few forum goers have that you only pay attention to the... Oh, yes. Sorry, I forgot about that too. And we've got another one. Tryerson is resubbed for 3 months in a row. The best game. Like, this game is best game. Yeah, I can read. Thank you very much. Glad to have you with us. Welcome back. Yeah, Llama, the we really do try and treat, like, every player equally, every voice equally on the forums. The only time I, like, disregard statements is when they're just really aggressive. If someone's, like, unbelievably aggressive, I will probably ignore their point on the forums. Alright, TNY has gifted 2 subs to the channel, Chatterboxy and Raw Suicide. Raw Suicide, welcome. There's a name I recognize for sure. Oh, wait. No, sorry. Moralny has gifted a sub to Chatterboxy. Sorry. I got it right. I got there. Thank you very much. Congrats to the people that got those. Glad to have you all with us. And for anyone who doesn't know, if it's your first time here, all of our streams are for charity. And right now we are doing Extra Life. Because they were, I'm like, extra something, extra life. They recently did a big 24-hour stream for charity. They do a lot of stuff with children's hospitals, which is awesome. It's home for me, big time. Where are we going here? There's people asking questions. I want to answer them. Let's go find them. Do you know how many old skills next patch are getting updated visuals? A rough guess doesn't need to be exact. And do you have any plans to update death animations, hit visuals, sound of skills, connecting on hit, etc. to make combat feel better? We update all those things every patch, so yes. It's done on a skill by skill basis though, so it's like we'll do it for one skill and then another skill. Skills that are getting old skills that are getting updates. I mean the transforms. There was one more we were working on. I don't think it'll make the cut. It got cut from last patch too, actually, unfortunately. Yeah. I think maybe a half dozen are getting updated visuals without much else changing. Maybe. Probably less, actually. Chimera's essence. Let's focus on newer skills. There's still one new skill that's not been announced yet, but it's been hinted at. That I'm pretty sure is going to make the cut on the patch day.
I cannot do that.
Whack, 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 whack.
Do that.
All right. In relation to question for skill visuals, any plans for extra gore options? We don't really have plans for that right now. It's not impossible. It won't happen this patch. Yeah, I would say the way that more gore options might show up is likely to be more in the realm of, okay, let's just, you know, cut these down a little bit first.
I cannot do that.
It would be more in a skill NTX thing where there's it changes to a slightly different version of it. There's a lot of gore in a lot of places. I love that effect. There's a lot of gore in a lot of places that sometimes it doesn't stand out quite as much, but it's a fine line to walk. Some people really like gore. I did see the right. I always forget about that. It catches me off guard. Heavy Gaming TV, thank you very much. 5 gifted subs to the channel. Congrats to everyone who got one of those. Way to go. They do $10 million if you release the patch now. I mean, if I could, yeah, deal. It'll be janky, but I mean, 10 mil. Yeah. I'll take it. Extra gore options, yeah. Gore's sorry, I cut off in the middle of this one. Gore's a tricky one because there's and this is it comes in a lot of different ways. It comes into play in a lot of different ways in the sense that it can turn people off the game having too much of it, and it can turn people off the game not having enough of it as well. And yeah, having an option to up that is a good way to do it. It's a little tricky sometimes. There's even the top end. So say there's someone who okay, so sometimes for competitive play, things like extra gore options for extra effects, kind of performance impacts. Obviously, we try and do it so it didn't, but it can mean that there's suddenly an optimal way to play the game. Troubleshooting problems. Oh, turn off your gore. Something comes a weird troubleshooting thing to suggest, which isn't ideal, but I mean it's not the end of the world to have. There's a lot of weird little extra things that come with every visual option that you add to the game, and they're multiplicative with each other. But I could see that being a good thing to add, a good place to have it, a good use for those. We haven't talked about it, or at least I haven't talked about it to anyone. Where we at? Can't you just press the send button? I mean, yeah, you could, but it's pretty janky right now. It's not release ready.
I cannot do
one of the big things we're really trying to emphasize right now is quality, and making it so that like every time we release something, it bumps that quality bar up as like an average across the board just a little bit. I have a big question. Since the first time I finished the campaign, will we ever be able to repair the Prime timeline and push the Void away? Because for now, everything that happened in the campaign feels meaningless. Well, all I can really say about that is the campaign's not finished yet. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen the post I made regarding ladder functions. I did see the post. I was wondering how feasible it would be to increase the player count for ladder rankings. In the current implementation of it, I think this would be a great way for community members to expand and add the old features we used to have, level sort and search function, without putting too much strain on each team. Unfortunately, the perceived difficulty of this request is I went to the wrong thing again. I was supposed to go to the quest one. Dang it. Is the perceived difficulty of this request is a far cry from the actual difficulty of this request. I know it seems like it should be a fairly straightforward thing to do. And like, why can't we just turn it back on? I can't get into the details of why we can't just turn it back on. We would love to just turn it back on. The ladder is by no means in its final state. I just finished writing up a design document for an updated version of it. It's not something that we can just flip a switch for. I'm sorry. Everything you asked for in that thread is super duper reasonable. No across the board. I'm really sorry. I would love to help you out. And it is quite frustrating that I can't. Because I've worked very closely with the ladder implementation and design this entire time. Well, up until about a year ago. Are the ladders going to be reset? Well, we add in a new like category each patch, so they get reset every patch. But like the old ones still exist, so you can look them up. You can go back in time and look. And I know you guys use the ladders for race events, and that's kind of impossible with the way it is right now, which I'm really sorry about. Those race events are amazing, and I wish we could flip a switch and get that working for you again. It is something we're aware of, and we lament not being able to do. So, I'm sorry. That's about all I can say. Ooh. Yeah, go away for a sec. Just chill out. Okay, come back. Hoya, hoya.
Too heavy.
Too heavy, is it? How about now? I kind of like that helm. Tut. Are there any plans for entirely new weapon types in the foreseeable future? Oh yeah, there's some definite gaps in the weapon types, and I know there's some people that would probably tell you some like Dammit and Tunk probably know of some weapon types that are hidden but not there yet. But yeah, we don't have any we don't have any coming, any new base weapon types coming this patch. Like entirely new categories. Sorry, there are new base weapon types for specific categories that are already in the game coming this patch. I think we've already spoiled what that is, but I can't remember if we have, so I'm not going to say it unless someone says it in chat right now, really quick. there are some more categories that we do have planned that we want to add things for, and there's some intentional gaps in the current item availabilities. Like, I don't know when they're going to come, but I know the ones that people mention quite frequently. So, like, one-handed spears, like short spears. Sort of like a Pantheon style from League of Legends type of play character, or like hoplites in Greek history. And then there's, like, crossbows. Mini crossbows, I guess, if you look at Demon Hunter from D3 style. Then there's this fight. I actually kind of like this fight. Especially because we can do this. We're gonna fight 2 out of 3 at once instead of 3 out of 3. And then fist weapons, so like D2 claws. And wrist spikes and things like that, which are kind of fist weapons, but then also like Diablo 3 actual fist weapons. And bye bye guys, it's just one-on-one Miata right now, huh? Yeah, there's some other ones too. I please don't take that as a list of these weapons are coming in the future. I have no idea if they are. Those are just some gaps that personally I see when I look at that list.
I cannot do that.
Oh, weird. Did it get confused because things were phased out? Or does it always drop like that? Yeah, true. Grizzlybus, you know what you said. Do you guys make use of Unity dots at all? I don't think so. I don't. I have a feeling that was a feature that was added in a version after what we use, but I don't know. Please do not remove Sovnia. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Just listen to the sound, and now you can make me say it again. Sovnia. Such a beautiful word. Please, I love Sovnia. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right. I hope I'm not, just because it's funny. The Rotting Horde. Polearms, staves, and catalysts, eh?
Stand down or die.
We just like boop the boss out of existence when he's doing his channel. This is the boss I was on last time that I had to come up with big brain strats to defeat. Okay, bye-bye. Come on back. Guys, I'm so good at this. Ah, dang it. Oh, spicy. Yes, it is spice. I made some hot sauce. Did I tell you about this yet? I made some hot sauce. I probably have, and you're like, shut up about the hot sauce, Mike. It's so good. Homemade hot sauce. You guys ever a chance? Go to like a local farm, get some hot peppers. In like August is a good time usually. Oh, I can just tank that apparently. We're not going to put that to the test frequently. Let's pick up a little bit of health potions. Eh?
I cannot do that.
Doesn't put it on cooldown is the problem. Mike, stop tanking that. What are you doing?
Stand down or die. Yeah.
That was a big crit right there. Yeah. Timed it right that time. Nailed it. So good at this game, guys. So good. I swear this is my job. There we go. Very nice. Ooh, all res. Yeah. Snap take. Alright, let's look back at chat, see what's happening. What's the next class? A lot of fun is what it is. Haha. Mike's gonna die to AoE, mark my words. Your words have been marked and found wanting. Haha. Came real close though. Toby1, if you've got a question for me, please at me and I will see it better. I happen to see this though. So, as a hopeless ad to Last Epoch, do you have any tips or tricks of making the waiting for patch easier? Yeah. Try out a different game mode that you don't normally try. Like if you always play hardcore, play softcore. If you always play softcore, play hardcore. Try playing solo if you don't do that. Try building something that shouldn't work. Try something that's like, try something you know is not going to be a main focus of the next patch. So don't try any druid transforms right now, but maybe give like, I don't know, pure cold sorcerer spellblade a shot if you never tried that. Or pick a weapon that's not really very good, or just an item in general that's kind of crappy, and try and make a build around it and see how far you can get with it. Low expectations, but, you know, it's fun. Or play other stuff, too. I know it's like a weird recommendation, but there's lots of games out there. I do love it when people play ours, though. Always very cool. Still a little weird to wrap your head around sometimes when just like I was talking to a buddy. I was playing Diablo 2 with one of my friends that I used to work with 10 years ago, and he was playing with his friend, and we grouped up, did some bail runs, and like, you know, oh, you know, like so and so, what do you do? Oh, you know, game developer, working on games, and like I had a moment of like met someone in the wild that had already played Epoch, and that was really cool. It's like, oh yeah, I'm one of the developers on Last Epoch, and they're like, oh, I was just playing that. I know that game. That was cool. They tried to get out of me some information and failed miserably. So if you're watching, I'm sorry, but no secret info. Oh, it came back.
I cannot do that.
I don't even know what that question was. That was a tangent question, or answer. Alright. Hi, Mike. I hope you are doing well today. I am. Thanks, friend. I know performance is a constant work in progress, and every patch has improvements. Will there be any big updates to performance before multiplayer? I know a lot of people this is keeping them from playing at the moment, and the memory usage is super high. Yeah, there's I am a little bit removed from a lot of the major performance work that happens now, because we're getting more people that know what they're doing better to work on these things, and so off the top of my head, I don't have a this specific ability will be better next patch or anything like that. I know some of the there's a lot of little things that happen all the time where I'll just be going through old code and there's micro optimizations that you find where you're like, oh yeah, I forgot we did this 3 years ago and now we do it slightly differently because it's a tiny bit more performant, and little things like that happen all the time. Or if you just come across something, you fix it, right? So there's a bunch of those, I know, because I came across them. But other than that, I don't have any details on specific things off the top of my head. But I know there is some stuff because there's people who work on that. And I'm sure I could go look through and find exactly what it is, but I'm not going to dig through that in the middle of the stream, sorry.
I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
And it's interesting, a lot of the, not a lot, but some of the performance improvements that are coming out right now are due to work on multiplayer. So single player is getting improvements because we're making multiplayer, which is cool. Alright, Rasu Syed asks, I really like the increase of quality you put out, like new skills and stuff. We can see the progress you made as a team. Thank you. But how do you guys prevent scope creeping? Yeah, great question. Because every time you overhaul something, there's a need to bring older stuff up. Definitely. It's the scope has creeped many times. Many times. And we do try and keep things under control, and even just when we're making individual skills, it's a constant question of basically anything you put in, is this worth my time to put in? What's the payout for investment ratio? And if it's not good enough, we don't do it. So there's we were talking about what is it? Spriggan. The Spriggan form and Summon Spriggan have a lot of good synergies together. However, when you're in Spriggan form with your Spriggan, you can't activate the Spriggan's manual ability. We've changed the name of it. Rejuvenating Wind. Rejuvenating Wind is the old name. And so you can't actually manually activate that. And I think a lot of people who use Summon Spriggan are also in Spriggan form and may not have realized the VFX on that's kind of old. It's not great. So that's definitely something that's on the radar to update. But we look at how many people are going to be using it compared to the time investment to update it, given that the person who would have to update the VFX for it also has to work on say new boss attacks. So that those new boss attacks are going to be seen by everyone who gets the boss, but the Summon Spriggan Rejuvenating Wind VFX is only going to be seen by people who are playing Summon Spriggan without Spriggan form, which is a pretty small percentage of the game population. So we make that consideration to decide if we're going to do it, and then we were also looking at giving it a cold conversion and giving it more interaction in the tree. And then there's another VFX that needs to be done for it, but again, that's only useful if you're not in a transform when you have it. So there's those things that we want to do with it, but it is a scope creep past what our initial design for the skill tree was, because we designed the skill tree, made all the nodes, figured out what we were going to do, and then this came up as something yesterday. This showed up, so I'm using it as an example because it's real fresh in my mind. So it's a little tricky sometimes to decide what's worth doing and if those things are scope creepy. And it's like tons of micro decisions that get made all the time. Yeah, I'm thinking of a little insight into how we prioritize stuff. It's really just we just keep going. We just keep working as hard as we can on whatever the most important thing is. Yeah, Depression Knight looks cool, but this DPS looks lackluster. I really like it. I'm having fun. I'm not exactly using Anomaly probably as efficiently as I could to do this. And my gear is like about 10 levels out of date. Level 39. Yeah. So I probably could do with some a gear glow up. Let's call it. Can I? There's not really a lot of stuff to do there. I could use a gear. Just improvement in general. Can you spell one new affix that is coming from next patch and that is on legendaries? This is such a misleading answer to this question. I don't want to do it. Sure. +1 to Swarmblade. It's the only one I can think of that's for sure there. +1 to Upheaval. There you go. There's another one. I'm sorry. Like it's kind of a mean answer to the question. It tells you nothing. Good try though. Try Masochist mode. It's so much more fun. Masochist mode's tough as an option. I didn't suggest that because it is really tough. But yeah, if you want a super duper challenge, go for it. I would really urge or stress. Like some people play like hardcore solo Masochist, and it's just savage. Like, can you get to level 10? I don't know. Good luck. I know people have asked for a hardcore solo masochist leaderboard specifically because it is so savage, and you'll never show up on normal leaderboards because it's so savage. And it's hard to do because we really don't want to impose hardcore solo masochist as the quite often like the hardest mode is viewed as the true mode in a lot of games. And we really don't want to promote hardcore solo masochist as the true mode, which is why you can't even select it until you beat the game once. Just because it is so brutal, and we don't balance the game around it at all. Like, ever. That there's a lot of things that are just broken in it. Whyabody, sorry if I butchered your name. I am a game design student working on an RPG demo for my minor. Very cool. Your game is incredibly inspiring, being made in Unity and all. Thank you. Good luck. I hope it's awesome. More importantly, I hope you have fun doing it. Yeah. Are you, is your ARPG, like high fantasy themed, future themed? Is it magic? Is it tech? Is it medieval like strict true reality. Dr. Devil 66 for me, our blind playthrough. I'm testing all what I can.
Do that. I cannot do that.
You masochist on a blind playthrough? Is that what's going on? Brutal. By the way, really adore new Sentinel model, and Druid is just, oh my god, Omega Chad, yeah. The new character select screen is really nice, and I think it does a really good job at getting some of those personalities of the characters across a little bit. Because right now they're all just like lined up. It's very similar. Like there's a little bit of action in their like move forward animation, but not a ton. And I think we get a lot more. Like the flow is nicer. The insight into the characters is better. A little more personality in there. I'm a big fan. Ooh. And not just because I've been working on it, and clearly it's awesome because of that. Lots of other people have been working on it. More, I guess I should make it clear. My contribution to it has been very minor by comparison to many other people that have been working on it very hard. Just to be clear. It's a little on the spicy side. Got him. Yeah, when that combo happens, it is wombo. Let's go for it. Oh, here we go. Bye-bye. Welcome back. That was scary for a second there. There was a brief moment of, oh my, am I dead? Just a brief one. Any info you can give about any totem tweaks planned in 8.4? I know I made a mistake when I answered someone's question on the forums or Reddit recently. Someone asked if there was any other melee totems, and I'm like, nope, definitely not. Definitely not. Super duper no more of them. I was wrong. There's technically one more. Thoughts on classes having their own unique HUD pool/hotbar? Yeah, definitely. We talked about this for sure, and this ties into we talked about different ways to manipulate the visuals on the HUD, and sometimes that looks like like one of the options we talked about was having an era specific HUD. So like you change eras, the HUD changes, gives you a better idea of what era you're in. There were a few problems with that. Ultimately, we scrapped it. The one that we have looked at the most is having a class-specific HUD, and we also have not chosen to do this either. But one of our big main pillars of design is is class identity. So we really like stressing like these classes are different. They're their own characters. They have their own like desires, fears, loves, all these sorts of things, and strengths and weaknesses. And conveying that through themes and tying that into even things like your HUD and your UI and all these sorts of things is desirable, and we do really like that. Oh my gosh! You know, I think I dropped a quarterback here. Yeah, there it is. Cool, got it. And so we'll be that was something we looked at as an option. I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon, but you never know, it might. Ooh. Having flare, having class flare would be nice. I think it'd be cool having it like, maybe like once you take your sentinel and things are just like a little bit more ornate and like thick a little bit, and like maybe more like metallic looking, and then you pick like Void Knight and it gets like a Void theme, or you pick Paladin and it gets a Paladin theme, and like we talked about that, where you could like have like a starting of it, and then when you pick your mastery it like accentuates it and like refines it. I think ultimately the reason why we didn't do that, and probably won't, is keeping that HUD pretty minimalistic. Like there's not a ton going on there. What is there, we're really trying to convey a little bit of story with it. Like there's these two opposing forces. Their influence is imposing on your bar a little bit here, and there's like a little bit of story elements there. There's a little bit of tie into the game's lore as a whole, but it's pretty minimalistic. It's pretty easy to understand. There's not a lot to distract you, and that's pretty important. I'm sticky. Can't get rid of me that easy, Siren. Okay. Where are we? What's next? You should add... Oh, if you want an answer. Oh, okay, sweet. Someone, Heavy, thank you for pointing that question out. Any intention to... There it is above there. Any intention to revisit Shaman Totem? They seem a bit lacking at the moment. Yeah, big time. Totally agree. Yep. Heavy's answer is also correct. I agree that few people will be playing smelly primalists, so don't need to update those graphics. Do you have any plans to increase the number of nodes in passive trees across the board, all classes, to make it more complex of building possibilities? So there is a hidden row right here that has nothing in it that we could very easily. There's actually also a hidden row right here as well. This is seven rows high is the grid that this is on, and we only use the middle two rows right now. The middle, we don't use the outer two rows, we only use the middle 5 rows. There we go. And we set this up to future-proof it, so if we wanted to add more, we can. We're not doing that this patch. We may never do it. We laid the groundwork in case we want to do it. Maybe. The big thing that increasing that does is gives more options per tier. As you're going up, so like there's more than enough options overall, especially when you have access to the lower sections of all the other masteries. Like there's actually a lot of nodes to look at, and I think increasing the number of nodes in each individual tree decreases the multi-classing potential, which we actually really like. That's one of the things that we're big on, is having those dips into the other classes. Because if there's, it actually increases the multi-classing potential, but it likely will decrease the multi-classing diversity that we experience, because the nodes in a single tree are generally more focused around that tree's playstyle. So like you see void damage in here, and you see a lot of fire damage in here, but you don't see a lot of crossover nodes. There definitely are a good chunk, but like you don't see that many. And nodes that appear, if we add more nodes like the Void Knight tree, chances are they'll be more useful to most Void Knights than nodes we add to the Paladin tree. And we do all sorts of things, like the lower a node is in the tree, we try and make it more generically useful on average. And then we put every once in a while a few really specific ones that are not generically useful, just so that there's some more interesting options early on still. But usually those are less powerful unless you're dipping into shared functionality. So like maybe there's one where it's like think there's like a heal on block node in lower paladin. I think there was, at least. And that, like, if we make that really powerful, it still is not overly enticing to most Void Knights, because most Void Knights aren't going block. Hopefully, at least. With the way we've designed things. I do want this. I know it's Forge Strike, but I still want it. Yeah. So maybe. With that being said, regarding Masochist mode, since I do play it occasionally, will Last Epoch have something similar to Hell mode, which is much higher difficulty to do, that will be balanced around? I would say unlikely. It's possible. I think the I skipped around some questions. I'll go back if I skipped yours. Sorry. I think so. We definitely don't want to have, like, if you're talking about like Diablo 2 Hell mode, where it like is just campaign over again but harder. But like it also has increased rewards and higher levels and everything. And we're not really huge on that. People already don't like playing through the campaign a whole bunch of times, and adding more reasons to replay the campaign on a single character is, I don't think, would be a wise move for us.
Stand down.
Ooh, what's that? What's that? I don't care what that is.
Cannot do that. I cannot do that.
Words are gonna show up in my mouth any moment now, and I will speak them.
I cannot do that.
Oh yeah, this kind of ties into what I was saying earlier about having specific modes being that are exceptionally harder being the way to play, either through a ladder or through increased rewards. And so we'd rather just have there be content that is more difficult at the end, sort of thing. If that makes any sense.
Stand down or die.
Like individual content. So it's more of like a singular scale of things with some content at the end that's quite difficult. And we do also have scaling content still, of course, like monolith, corruption, and arena depth, waves, count. That's kind of the same thing, really. Just instead of a light switch, it's a sliding scale. Yeah. Yeah, I bit off a little more than I can chew there. I deserved that one. How do you look on idea of changing summon bear model to look a bit like the new werebear model to be able to maximum bearage? Yeah, we are looking at updating the werebear model. I don't think it's going to happen this patch, but I think someone brought that up. It is a really nice model. Like, it's a really high quality model. That's one of the last... That actually was not us that made that. We bought that. And it was the first time we bought like a really high quality asset. Yeah, his name's Timothy. Theodore, not Timothy. His name's Theodore. Obviously it's Theodore. But it's gonna get redone eventually. I love how the skill trees allow to change the skill damage type or interactions aside from just DPS. Any insight into new skill trees? Alternatively, if you can talk about EHE's approach to making skill trees as they are now. That's a humongous question, and I know there's like a dozen rants in the in our YouTube channel of me going over this. And if you ask Andrew Tilley on our forums, or possibly if he's here really nicely, I bet he's just like got a link to that. Because and I'm so sorry, Andrew, if you don't, I'm just like making a bunch of work for you. But he seems to have links to all of the like big discussions and things that are said. You know, just out of nowhere. It's pretty cool.
Too heavy.
I was suggesting an automated system for doing it all, and he's like, that would be so good, but he doesn't have one. So he puts a ton of work in on that. The short version is it's very collaborative. We go through a lot of stages with a lot of people, and then bring that down to more focused groups to actually do the implementation. But we try and get a lot of people's input in the early stages to get across theme and feel and what we want the skill to do. And I just saw a big whoosh, so that's exciting. I will look at that in a second. Daedalus, thank you very much for a huge number of subs. It looks like 10 to me. Just scroll down and then it breaks where I am in chat and I forget. So I'm gonna count them. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 9? 9. Thank you very much. Always appreciated. Congrats to everyone who got one of those. Yeah. It's a weird, it looks like error message in one of them, but that's okay. Not an error message, like a weird sub message that came in. And we've also got Crescend XD has cheered 10 bits. Say they are close to exact date for 8.4 patch, please. The closest thing that we've said, and the closest thing that I'm going to say, is echo what Trisoki said on our Discord a few days ago, which was mid-December. We don't have a set date for it yet. Which I know isn't new info, so I'm sorry, but it's the best I can do.
Too heavy.
Right now. When do we get new character screen select along with new character remodels? Well, not all the character remodels are coming in this patch, but I know Druid or Primalist and Primalist one isn't already in, is it? I know Sentinel's coming in this patch, and I don't know if Primalist is already in or not. I get so lost with what's in live and what's not. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. I should have cleared my inventory. It's the price I pay. When do we get them though? With this patch. So 8.4 new character select screens coming. As of yesterday, the new character select screen is functional. And as of today, it doesn't look terrible. Doesn't hurt that much. Fire res is not capped. Neither is poison. That's why I died the other time. There's a bunch of poison going on. Alright. I have a million questions on the technical side of things. Cool. I probably can't answer them all, unfortunately. Are you guys planning on doing a behind the scenes or GDC talk or something like that? I would be super interested in that. Hey, if someone wants me to talk at GDC, yeah, I'm there. I think we're a little ways off from that. And it probably wouldn't be me going either. Maybe. I'm probably gonna go sit in the background or something. Anyways, we don't have anything major planned like that. I go on rants every once in a while, a little bit behind the scenes stuff, of like how certain things are set up, why we can or can't do things. Yeah, I mean, thanks. Oh, I see who this is. Sorry, I just put 2 and 2 together that it's your school for game design. You're making an RPG. I'm with you. I see the answer. It's fantasy magic. Very cool. I'm caught up in the conversation. Nailed it. thank you for bearing with me there. Yeah, I don't think we're quite there yet as far as I think the game's got to be out first, and someone's got to notice us. we're still little. We're still new in the gaming world. Why components don't auto pick up like potions and gold would make combat a lot smoother. Yeah, this is a song as old as time. It's there's a lot of reasons. I've kind of heard so many times, unfortunately. It's not set in stone. It's still a conversation we have if we want to make them auto pick up. They start to feel like a resource instead of an item, is the short answer. And we really want them to feel like an item instead of a resource.
Do that.
It's the short answer. What about number of skills you will reach at one point of time trash limit, after which you will remove old skills and add new ones at the same time, hoping it's not that one, but the number of skills is going to build up. Yes, okay, so the rate that we add new skills at will probably slow down post-launch. Definitely won't halt at all. But we add or revamp skills at a pretty fast rate. Especially right now, we don't have a ton... Like, we've reprioritized a lot of people that can work on skills to do other stuff as well right now. So we know that skills are a very popular thing. People really like patch to patch, but whenever I say we move someone onto something else, it's always multiplayer. It's just always multiplayer. And that's because it's a really important part of the game for us. It's one of the major things we want to have be really awesome and feel really good. And we know that once we have the multiplayer framework and everything set up a lot nicer there, we can pull those people back to blitz some skills. So, for example, we had a lot more people working on skills in the Rogue patch, and we released way more skills. That was the most skills we've ever released in a single patch. But we had a huge number of people that, like, that's all they were doing was working on the Rogue skills for the whole patch cycle. I don't think we released any enemies that patch, so there's no enemy skills to worry about. Maybe there was a couple, but it was pretty light in that category. Like, a lot of the stuff was just like, let's make Rogue skills. So yeah, the total number of skills for launch that we are expecting will be one more than you see here. So fill this Paladin skill in, there you go. That's launch skills for each class. The only one here that doesn't have a tree is Healing Hand. But it will eventually have a tree. And yeah, so like that'll be a class. So Sentinel's almost done. It's not saying that there's not skills that can use a rework in here still, but Sentinel's very, very, very far along compared to most of the others. After this patch coming up, Primalist will be 2 skills away. There'll be a base class skill missing and a Shaman skill missing. Rogue's really far away still. There's a lot of skills missing all over the place there. Mage will be missing 5 skills, I think. Just their whole final mastery is missing. That's it. Acolyte, I think, is in the same boat. Is that everyone? Am I missing anyone? No, that's it. But yeah, so that's how many skills are going to be there for launch. And then the other thing I was going to say is there's a very intentional in the UI. There's room for an extra skill in each mastery in the UI here. And then this can also be reorganized slightly so that another 2 can fit here, another 1 can fit here as well. So we can also just move this over and fit another column here. So we've intentionally built this in such a way that there's like a little bit of room to fudge a few more skills in here and there. We can also add another row in here if we wanted. So we've designed the UI very carefully such that we can add more skills. Like we can put in the skill there, we can put other skill in between these ones. Like we've set this up carefully so that we have room to grow with skills. Yeah, there will be a point where there's too many, both from a like gameplay perspective standpoint and just a like upkeep and maintenance standpoint, I guess you'd say. And we would probably, if we were like replacing a skill, sometimes we take that skill and we've done this before where we've replaced the skill and we've taken it and put it onto the on something else. So Healing Wind was a primalist skill. It's now the Summon Spriggan activatable ability. Fire Aura was a skill for a while. Basically, it was a sub skill of Fire Shield, and it's now just a passive and something that gets generated through items. So usually when if a skill's not good enough to survive a conversion or a cull or something like that, we do try and keep the theming of it, especially if it has other items that are related to it, or just playstyles that people really like. We try and keep them in some way. Like Ice Thorns is going away this patch. There's a cold conversion for Spirit Thorns in the Spriggan Form Tree. So even when we take something away, we try and at least like keep it thematically or hidden in some way. Not hidden, but like tucked away, let's call it.
I cannot do that.
Just wait for a cooldown to come off here. My goodness, he was beefy. I think I need a new weapon. I think that's the problem. Some of my DPS is slowing down. Someone mentioned my ZDPS build.
Stand down or die.
Or ZDPS, which just doesn't sound as good.
I cannot do that.
Alright, where are we? What's going on here? Let's get a drink of water. Remember to stay hydrated, kids. Number one cause of headaches, dehydration. I have no idea if that's true. Just totally made that up. For me, it's true. I like never get headaches, but if I do get one, I'm like, I have not had enough water today. Every single time. Alright, no, he gifted 10. Yeah, he did give 10. I only saw 9. Weird. Oh, we got another cheer from Crescent XD. Cheer 10. Really appreciate all the work you guys put into it. Glad you're enjoying it. That's what it's all about. When do Hoy localize the game to Spanish? Oh, you. We don't know yet. We're still designing systems to make localization easy and quick. Well, as quick and easy as it can be, because it's never quick or easy, really. But we're still improving those systems. Maybe you want to show us a new character select screen. Bet you want to. You're right, I do. Can't, though. It's not done. Do you guys have any data on how much certain subclass is picked? Are you guys dissatisfied with any subclass? If yes, why is it the Forge Guard? I don't know if we have that data anywhere right now. I haven't seen it anytime recently, at least. I don't think any class is really super underperforming where I'd like to see it. I know a lot of people love the Forge Guard. A lot of people just... It seems to be fairly polarizing. And I think this is an interesting point, actually. Because I've been looking at the... Obviously, whenever we release something new that we've worked on really hard, I keep paying a lot of attention to and looking at very closely, the forum response to it, and the Reddit response to it, and the everything response to it. And so the response to Swarmblade has been really polarizing. And there's a lot of people that are like, oh my god, what have you done? And I can't wait to play this. Are sort of like, most people fit into one of those two camps, I think. And there's people who are just like, whatever. But it feels like, at least the people that are talking on these posts, it really feels like people fall into one of these two camps. And I think Forge Guard is much to a lesser extent, but it is a little bit polarizing, I think. And I think it's a really good thing to have that. I would much rather have, like, so say you like get people to everyone rate the class out of 10, and almost everyone's like a middling response, and your averages say like 60%, 70% even. It's sort of like a, yeah, great, but there's almost no 10s. And there's almost no 1s. Like, it's people are really average responses. But then you have a class, let's say, that averages 40%. But there's a ton of 10s, and there's a ton of 1s, and it's really hard extreme responses to it. I would prefer that response, because, well, first off, not everyone's going to play every class and every skill in every class. And having individual skills that certain people really gravitate towards and are excited about is way more valuable than the downside of having a skill here or there that some people are really about, you know? So I think that Forge Guard might suffer from that perception a little bit as well, not quite as extreme, and it's a whole class, so if it was more extreme, it maybe isn't as good, but, you know, it's hard to say. Point is, I don't have the exact information on which class is the least performing. I remembered the question. Alright, I've been trying to convince my friend who has been playing Diablo 2 for 20 years to play Last Epoch. Any advice? P.S. Masterful game. Thank you. Ask him what his favorite, or her, ask them what their favorite, their favorite build in Diablo 2 is, their favorite ability, their favorite thing to do, what class, what build is their, like, oh no, here it is, not their favorite, well, yeah, do their favorite one that they like to play, and one that they wish worked that doesn't. And I bet you can find that same build just more interesting in our game. And I'm sure there's exceptions to this, but I mean, of the ones that are like the best and favorite to play, almost all of them are, you can find one-to-one versions, or you can make them work pretty well with some combination of items and skill specializations. Yeah. That would be my recommendation. It's like remake one of their favorite characters in Last Epoch and see if that gets them going, or show them something completely new. Just like show them the game, you know, show them the options, show them the possibilities. Multiplayer might be a big draw for them as well, so you may have to wait till that's out. I know a lot of people say that, like, once multiplayer comes out, all my friends are gonna play this. Yeah, once multiplayer comes out, all my friends are gonna play this. Oh, being an adult and having to wait for games to be fully ready before you can binge them too hard. Bye-bye. Earthquake's still going, might as well have you back. There we go, that was a big old crit. Big old crit. There are a lot of skills and items, abilities that need indicators when activated. It's just work in progress. Do you mean the, like, these right here? If you mean these, we add those in on a case-by-case basis very carefully, and we very intentionally don't show them all. If there's specific ones that you think are like really important to have this because it's like a trigger on gameplay. So a good example of this recently, someone was asking for this and it already exists, but that's why I'm bringing it up as an example. In Warpath, dang it, I was hoping they wouldn't aggro. In Warpath, there's a like once you've been channeling Warpath for X number of seconds. Yeah. Got it. Once you've been spinning for at least 2 seconds, you do a war slash at the end. So it's hard to know when that timer actually hits 2 seconds, but there's a small icon that shows up right here on your buff bar that shows when you hit that 2 seconds. I think that would like that's a really good example of one that's super good to have there because it changes the way you play. Something where it's just like, say you've got a buff that's like a guaranteed buff, like the old lunge buff where you lunge, every time you lunge you have a buff for the same amount of time every time. Things like that are less important because you know it's happening every single time. And I know sometimes people will say like, well, I wasn't sure it was actually happening. In the interest of having a cleaner UI, sometimes you gotta trust that it's happening. And I know we have bugs and we're still in that early access and all that sort of stuff, but we're trying to develop the game for what it's going to be like at release, not for necessarily what it's like now. And that's not always the case, but generally we try and do that. I think that's what you're asking about. If not, I'm sorry. Does corruption affect the number of exalted reward nodes in monos? Does anything affect, or is it strictly random? I am pretty sure it's strictly random, but I actually don't know for sure. I was watching Shang-Chi Dynasty teasers. Not really. It's a teaser light stream today. I'll be honest, I didn't come with anything prepped. I'm sorry. Busy week. Really good week though. Got a ton of stuff done. Like, as far as like closing out projects and getting things done, like I feel like it was a very productive week, which is great. Pretty sure the number one cause of headaches is kids. Yeah, I'm far behind. Let's do a catch-up. Lightning round. Have you considered adding more masteries in each class? Oh, yeah. I can't tell you what we're looking at, but every single one of them's got ideas. What's your favorite part of new characters select UI? And can we reorder the characters? You cannot reorder the characters. My favorite part is just the fact that they have more unique and personalized animations that really bring out their unique personalities. You know what I mean, though. Pre-nerf corpse explosion when? Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. I see what this is bringing back to. Yeah, we don't really have a pre-nerf corpse explosion, do we? Even better, volatile zombies. We'll bring the corpses to them. That's actually what volatile zombie is.
I cannot do that.
Okay. Can you tell us more about yourself, your journey as a game developer, and perhaps your role in development of Last Epoch? Yeah, you got some real big open-ended questions coming in today. It's cool. I like that. I'll be a little succinct here. I would say my game design and development journey started with the first thing I ever did that was like even remotely related would be creating campaigns in the Age of Empires 2 campaign editor. I think that'd be the closest thing to like the first time I did any sort of like game creation or design stuff. I was really proud of these campaigns I would make. I played with my dad a lot, so it was like one of the big things. And I don't know if I think I had one that like I really finished, but like it was always a like make the next one, make the next one, make the next one. So yeah, I think that was probably the first one.
I cannot do that.
I think. I joined this team from a Reddit post on the Diablo 2 subreddit that Judd posted. And my roles in development of Last Epoch, I guess my official title is senior developer / designer. I kind of just do a little bit of everything. I do a lot of work on, mostly work on skills and UI stuff. Those are the two main things that I do. But if there's like a random little thing that needs to be done, there's one of a half dozen of us that gets asked to do it. His role is Primalist model, and I was at one point, a picture of me was used to model an old version of the Primalist as a starting point, yes. That's my claim to fame. Oh yeah, experience in the start of an arena? Bleep, yeah.
I cannot do that.
Boop. And now! Oh.
Do that.
I am underestimating the cooldown of Void Cleave. Need a little ICDR, that'd be nice. ICDRS. We're talking about how it's like, it's not really CDR, it's not cooldown recovery, it's increased cooldown recovery speed. Because it's really technically different things. I was trying to like have the acronym and like say it. And it's like ICURDS.
I cannot do
Just
that.
sounds weird.
I cannot do that.
Alright. Dark Stride teaser when? I do not know what Dark Stride is, and I feel like I should. Oh, you're saying that we're gonna add it to our game? Yeah, not yet. I got there. Thoughts on having more potions to use? Yeah, for sure. I do have thoughts on that. Not yeah, for sure. We'll do it. I think it's one of the weak points, I want to say, in a lot of these games, actually. So like so I was just going through my head on like which games have like multi potions and things like that, and it's most of them, actually. I think. I don't know if Titan Quest does or not. I can't remember. It's been forever. But I think like I'm not a huge fan of it personally. I feel like the potion is like that's something that we do want to treat as a resource. We're talking about the difference of why we don't have like the crafting materials, why they're not just like auto pickup, because we don't want them to feel like a resource. Potions we actually do kind of want to feel like a resource, but as just like a simple resource mechanic. It's that like it's similar to how you have like dodge rolls in a lot of other games. Well, like a lot of other games. I'm going to use Wilson as an example for the dodge roll charges. It's very similar there. Yeah, I don't see us adding more different types of potions. We do put potion effects on belt slots. So that's how we try and get that like potion interaction in the game. Like there's a good example right there: freeze rate multiplier, and then 100% chance to cast freezing concoction on potion use. So there's like there are things that we do to affect potions through the belt slot, but having potions just be a fairly generic, not generic, but simple, straightforward mechanic is unlikely to change, I would say. I thought I was really far behind. I'm not that far behind. Wonderful. Do I have time for one more? Last one. Why not, right? Path of Exile, yeah, like, Path of Exile does have a lot of potions. And that's I guess it's another thing. Like we try and kind of ignore other games for the most part and just make our game the way we want it to be. And at the same time, it is good to be to have unique mechanics, unique interactions, and where you can, but not for just the sake of being unique, I would say. So like if doing things the way we feel like we want to do them ends up having enough mechanics be different, I think that's a positive thing, because just because we have like, it's not the same experience, it doesn't feel like a just a copy paste or whatever, right? And quite often little things like that can really change the feel or the overall flow of combat and the game in general. Oh, that's a close one. And I think having the focus be on a few buttons to press tactically, and I think it's almost more similar to like League of Legends in that way, right? And MOBAs in general, where you have fewer buttons to press, and it's like Guild Wars 1 did this. Guild Wars 1 had 8 buttons, but one of them was almost always like there was a couple of them that were like so unbelievably long cooldowns that they didn't mean anything in most builds. But like having those button press restrictions and having those limited things changes the overall feel of combat, changes how your builds are crafted and all that sort of stuff. And it has the incidental effect of also making it a little more unique than some other options that are out there, or just different. Which is good, I think. Like, we don't intentionally say like, well, they've got this so we're not going to do it, or they've got this so we should do it. We don't ever do that specifically, unless it's like absolutely identical. We're just going to pick them all up. End of the day. Stream's wrapping up here. Last question. What would you say is the most time-consuming part of development? What parts where workflow improvements could go a long way? Really just anything you're doing frequently that can be automated, I guess. Version control. Good version control flows save huge amounts of time, especially on larger teams. Good communication and planning. All these things that are like kind of tangential to the actual development process, done well, have hugely positive impact on the actual development process and time, because you end up spending more concentrated efforts and more focused time on what you're actually wanting to do in the like design stages. And we spent a long time developing processes and things like that for how we want to design and develop the game as a larger team as we're growing, as become a larger team than we were before. And I think that's, there's a joke where like what one programmer can do in a day, 3 can do in 2 days. And it's sort of like when you start getting more people together, the time to collaborate ends up compounding how long it takes to actually do something. And so I think, organizational structures is really important for that. Yeah. That's it. That's all I got. I had a blast. I hope you did too. Thanks for coming out, everybody. I will, as always, be available on Discord, forums, Reddit, however you want to try and get a hold of us. Ask questions. We're around. We love talking to you. I hope you had a wonderful time today. And I'll be back next week, same time, same place.